I did put neem oil on. No aphids. Good morning, how are you? Good morning, welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. We have another problem with the tomatoes. These poor tomatoes, I tell you what. We have not had just a ton of issues with too many pests on our homestead. I get aphids every so often. Usually it's, you know, just one plant, maybe two, that deal with a few aphids, and I'm able to take care of it pretty well. Most of the tomatoes in the greenhouse have some kind of aphid infestation, and I'm actually really grateful that it's cloudy today and it's going to be cloudy this week. I did spray these plants yesterday with neem oil. This neem oil has been underneath my kitchen sink, I think, since 2019. That's how little I've had to use it. But I can remember even when I used it per package directions, I would experience some level of burning due to the sunlight hitting the leaves with the oil on them. And so if the sun can stay behind the clouds, that's not going to make me sad. There's a couple different ways that you can deal with aphids in the garden, and usually a multi-level approach is going to be the most successful. So I've talked about the neem oil. I am going to be spraying a little bit of that off today, which I'm not sad about. I am, like I said, a little bit nervous about the leaves burning. But one of the methods for getting rid of aphids is literally just to spray them off of the plant. I guess they can't make it back to the plant pretty easily, so that's what we're gonna do this morning. I had to switch out the head on my hose here. This guy, I like it because it doesn't have super high pressure and it's gentle, but we need to be getting off these bugs and we need some pressure for that. That might be a little much. Did I get you? No. We'll try that one. It's the flat option. So here's our before. As I mentioned, I did put neem oil on these plants last night, and it does look like some of these aphids have succumbed. Like this guy's not living right here. What neem oil does is that it affects their hormonal balance, it affects their ability to reproduce, and apparently it makes them forget to eat. So it's not like an instant kill, you don't just spray it on and they drop. It does take some time, and in that meantime they still have the opportunity to damage the plants, and so I want to just get them off. A lot of the times you're gonna see aphids on the undersides of the leaves, but also if the leaves have curled at all, you need to be checking within those curls because they're gonna be hiding in there, and aphids can actually reproduce asexually, so they only need one to make a whole bunch more. And so I need to be mindful about that and trying to get off as many as I can. Most of the aphid population is kind of concentrated in this one bed. This one bed also has a lot of the plants that were affected by that curly top virus as well. And this is a really great illustration to show that oftentimes the diseased plants are the ones that attract the pests. I have no idea what it is, like physiologically, that draws the pests in, but that has been my experience. I can confirm that sick plants tend to just be a magnet for other issues. The aphids that I have in the greenhouse right now are like a brown color. I'm also still seeing a few white flies hanging around, and I'm seeing a lot less of those predatory insects that I had seen in here previously, like the green lacewing, and so that's why I'm comfortable at this point applying things like neem oil. Neem oil really only affects the sucking insects or the biting insects. So in theory, it's not going to affect things like bees and butterflies on the plants, but I don't really know. It's not my favorite thing to use. That's why it's been under the cabinet for so long, but I'm just trying to get a few tomatoes. Here's a mama aphid and her babies. She's moving. Aphids can come in a few different colors, anywhere really from dark brownish black to red and green. In the past, I have seen aphids on all kinds of different types of plants. In my garden, they're mostly on the nightshades, and within the nightshade family, they're mostly only on the tomatoes. We have a lot of nightshades in the high tunnel right now. These guys have nice fuzzy leaves, these eggplants. I don't know if that deters the aphids. It may. The main pests that I see on my eggplants are normally flea beetles, and they're usually a non-issue. They're a little bit, yeah, there's some over here. See these black things right here? That's a flea beetle. They kind of bounce around like a flea. They exist, but they usually don't impact the plants too badly. I am gonna come back through here later. After everything has a chance to dry out, I'm gonna turn my fans back on, and I am gonna dust diatomaceous earth on these plants. If you ever notice a bunch of ants on your plants, that's a pretty good indicator that aphids are around. Ants will literally farm the aphids. They'll carry them around to different plants so that they can reproduce on those plants. And what happens when the aphids suck the sap out of the plants is they poop out what's called honeydew. So it's this rich, sweet liquid that the ants can live off of. So they'll use the aphids in order to get this food. And the diatomaceous earth will not only kill and hurt the aphids, it'll kill and hurt the ants that are helping them get around the garden. I haven't noticed too much issue at all with my peppers. I do have a few little holes here and there. Nothing that's made me super worried. I've got my eye on them though. So far, no aphids, but that doesn't mean there won't be any aphids at all. This green stalk over here is where I first started seeing the presence of whiteflies on the little, I think they're called orange hat tomatoes that I have growing in here. They have aphids as well. These little tiny white specks. This is a whitefly right here. So you can see this one is pretty well covered by both aphids and whiteflies. Both of these can be sprayed off. I am starting to get a few tomatoes, but you can see all the bugs on that plant. Not good. There, got the greenhouse open for airflow, got the flow fans on. Having wet leaves on tomato plants isn't the best thing. It can help spread disease. I don't have blight in the greenhouse right now. My main issue is these bugs. So dealing with them is the main priority, and the fans will help dry out the leaves. So it's quite a bit later now, and the sun did in fact come out, so we will check on the tomatoes in a little while. But my husband Levi, he just left to go get some hay. So our goats have a total of about 6 or 7 acres if you count the boy pens that they forage off of during the growing season. We did stop feeding hay full time a couple of weeks ago. The girls are loving all of the fresh grass that's out there. There's a lot of it because of all the rain that we've gotten, but we do like to stock up on hay for like days that are totally rainy. My goats will not go out in the rain. They would rather starve. Some of my La Manchas, like Clover, will go out in the rain, but most of them will not. And it's really important for them to keep things in their rumen, to keep ruminating for their overall health. So I will keep hay to give on rainy days. And right now it's hay season. We just got back from the grocery store, and everybody who could put their hay away has done it this week, because it's the first week where we've had a string of 4 or 5 days without any rain, and that's really important for gathering hay. It needs to dry out before you bale it up. And we have a friend who has a farm where he doesn't spray anything, and we can get square bales of an alfalfa and grass hay mix for about $6 a bale. It is a blessing, and it's going to be here soon. So this is where we have been storing our hay. The last little while we stored our hay in this mower shed all winter long and had very few problems with mold. There was 1 or 2 bales of hay that I did have to pitch. I actually stuck it in the garden, but so far far, this has been a pretty good spot. It is kind of wet. What I'm gonna do right now is actually rake out all of the hay that's fallen and lay down some lime so we can prevent the losses. We may lose the bottom row of hay if it keeps on raining, but that's okay. There's an ant. There's a couple aphids. That was the same plant that we looked at this morning, so it looks a lot better. We're gonna hit them with this. This is the diatomaceous earth. I think mainly what I would like to do is dust the diatomaceous earth kind of around the base of the plant where the ants will be coming from. From what I understand, that's where the aphids come from most often, is when the ants have farmed them. They'll literally take them from one plant to another. I'm sure there's other ways they get around as well. I would think about dusting the undersides of the leaves. I guess I still kind of could. But I'm not super worried about that because I don't see a whole bunch of them at the moment. There are some though, and like I said, where there's one, they can reproduce to become many. You can put diatomaceous earth in a sock and kind of dust underneath the leaves. I've seen these cool little puffers that people use. I used to have one of those. I don't know where it is now. But this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be alternating between these different treatment methods. It looks like we didn't burn the plants with the neem oil this time. Maybe I've gotten the formulation or the dilution wrong in the past, but I did also spray the plants this morning, which in theory would have washed it off. Looks like a snowstorm hit the inside of the greenhouse right now. Now, we are getting some rain in a few hours. I would probably still do this even if these guys were planted outside where the diatomaceous earth was going to get rained off and essentially rendered ineffective, because it does work pretty fast. It works on contact. What it does is I've heard a couple different things. I've heard that it dries out the bodies of the insects, like it gets inside their exoskeleton and sucks the moisture out of their exoskeleton. But I've also heard that the diatomaceous earth acts like little tiny razor blades that essentially cuts the bugs apart. In any case, it does work really fast. I plan on leaving this on the plants for a few days and then I'll spray them down again. And if needed, I'll start all the way back at the beginning with some more neem oil. I feel very encouraged though that we saw very few aphids on the plants tonight. Last night there was a whole bunch of them. It was actually pretty insane, and I didn't even see a tenth of what I saw last night. So we've at least made a dent. We need the plants to get the upper hand, and I think we're there. Half down, half to go. I'm gonna get to work before the sun goes down. The mosquitoes are out and we want to be working fast. I'll see you guys again soon.